What are my promises? What is my dharma? What are the deeds? What are the foundations that I will lay out to be able to walk this path towards you? You need someone to grab your hand, and this is where you meet the true Guru. Without the true Guru, you cannot walk. It is like walking on a cliff without a railing. You're bound to fall and you're bound to fail. There's never been a marriage from the beginning of time that there hasn't been a dispute. So when times get tough, you sit down with Gurbani and say, what does Guru Sahib Ji say about this? How can we bring this into our life? We think that marriage is 50-50. Pyare, it's not. It's not 50-50. It's 100 and 0. Because sometimes you have to take on 100%. And sometimes you have to become 0. You can't just have even 1% because, 1% we humma hai. There's still ego within that 1%. There will be times when you have to carry everything, and there will be times when you have to submit and bow down to each other. This relationship is built on trust, and that trust is found through detachment of the vices of this world, losing the ego and connecting to that great creator. These lama are your experience to a spiritual awakening, and this entire life that we live, this is a small representation of the marriage that we seek with the great creator. Let's take the few minutes that we have and try to understand, for those of you that may not have ever seen an Anand Karaj in the Guru's house before. In the few minutes that we have, we'll discuss what you will see today. We will discuss the ceremonies that are going to be taking place and a brief meaning of the Lama, or the words in the Gurbani that is being read. One thing to note, my brothers and sisters, is in this Anand Karaj, Anand meaning bliss, Karaj meaning ceremony, you will never see the groom and the bride facing each other. The groom and bride do not face each other. Why? Because their face is always towards the Guru. Throughout the Sangat, you may have seen many various different forms of weddings take place across this world. The groom and bride face the Guru because the Guru is the center of their life. You will see a ceremony take place known as Palle di Rasam. This palla that comes off the shoulder of the groom and is held by the bride. Many times you see, sometimes it gets clipped on and the groom isn't actually holding it. But it's very, very important for the groom and the bride both to be holding on to it. Habbe saak kudave dithe to palla tenda lagi. I've renounced everything in this world and I just hold on to you. Because they are not facing each other, the face is towards the Guru. This ceremony is just not about the two. The ceremony is about three. The union of three. Of how three different lights are merging to becoming one. They're not only holding on to the robe or the hem of each other, but they're holding on to the robe of Guru Sahib Ji. To visualize this, one day Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj was sitting on the tabya. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Kalgitar Pacha looked down and they saw Bhai Nandlal Ji holding on to their palla. Khech ke fadya si, uchi uchi ro rahe si. They were crying. Bhai Nandlal Ji, a great Gursikh in our history. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj held a rock in their hand. And as they were playing with this rock, they called for a bucket of water to be brought and they dropped the rock into this bucket. They asked, why did the rock sink to the bottom? Why does the rock sink in the water? And many scholars stood up and they said, maybe because the rock is more dense than the water. But then they looked at Bhai Nandlal Ji, who was holding on to the robe, the palla of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, uchi uchi roke, and they're crying, Guru Sahib Ji, jinna chir tusi menu fadya siga unna chir tarya si. The rock was floating as long as it was in your hand. Whenever you let go of the rock, it sunk. In this life, in this world, if we hold on to Guru Sahib's palla, then we cannot drown. And in this marriage ceremony, we hold on to each other's palla. We hold on to Guru Sahib's palla. And main benti karan, very unique thing you will see from very different faiths, that the groom and the bride do not face each other because ithe homme matoni hai. You are losing your homme here. It is not your identity. You will see the groom and bride walk around Guru Granth Sahib Ji Sache Paatshah. Just like the moth flies around in love with the fire and merges itself into that fire. Just like the bumblebee flies around the kamal da phul, the lotus flower, and one day merges itself into the lotus flower. Just like the birds fly around, eventually merge themselves in the hunter's nest. तैसे गुरबाणी अवगाहन करत चित कबहू मगन है शब्द उर्जाएं हैं. It's true that the Gursikh revolves their entire life around Gurbani, the Guru's word, and one day they merge themselves into it. And that's what we call bliss. That's what we call Anand. Just like the earth might be revolving around the sun, without it, it cannot exist. Without the Guru, the Gursikh Jivan cannot exist. The Gursikh's life cannot exist. It has no purpose or meaning behind it anymore. So in this way, you will see the married couple walk around Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj 4 times. And this represents the 4 Lama. 4 Lama written in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj will be read. They will be read, and then you will hear the same words being sung by Gyani Ji through Kirtan. I want you to pay attention closely to the words of the Lama, the Bani that is being sung, because they represent the various different stages of spiritual awakening. They're not just vows that you make to each other in this world, because you see Guru Sahib, you see God in each other. The first Lam is all about this world and how you lay the foundations towards reaching Akal Purkh. Parvirti karma dradaya Balaram Jiyo. There is a difference between Parvirti karma and Nirvirti karma. Nirvirti is when you renounce the world, you step away and you have no connection to this world. But this ceremony that we're about to go through, you rise above this world and you let go of something, yet you're still living within this world. You're taking on a responsibility. This ceremony, as we all know, we look at the groom and we say, Tere sir te zimmewari pai gayi hai. We look at the bride and we say, you are responsible now as well. What responsibilities are we laying out, not only in this world, but towards Guru Sahib Ji Maharaj? When I walk upon this path, what are my promises? What is my dharma? What are the deeds? What are the foundations that I will lay out to be able to walk this path towards you? Pyareo, the word that we know so well, maryada, it comes from the Persian word called mirza. Mirza literally means the river banks. If we are the streams and the rivers and those drops of water that are trying to merge within the ocean, then that water must stay within the river banks. To stay within the Guru's hukum is maryada, is staying within the river banks, and we lay out those codes of conduct in the first law, in which we promise to not only follow this life between the groom and bride, but to merge with the Guru as well. The second, you will see you need guidance on this path. You need someone to grab your hand, and this is where you meet the true Guru. Without the true Guru, you cannot walk. It is like walking on a cliff without a railing. You're bound to fall and you're bound to fail. Whenever life gets tough, because Gurbani is the center of your life, there's never been a marriage from the beginning of time that there hasn't been a dispute. So when times get tough, you sit down with Gurbani and say, what does Guru Sahib Ji say about this? What is Guru Sahib Ji's hukum? How can we bring this into our life? How can we revolve this issue? And that's why having that Guru in our life and losing our home. Guru Sahib destroys our home in this way. When our ego, the wall of falsehood, is dispersed, then we go into the third stage. The third stage is when you're completely rising above the attachments of this world. And I said this with a vichar that I was blessed to have with the groom and bride yesterday. That in this world, we think that marriage is 50-50. Pyareo, it's not. It's not 50-50. It's 100 and 0. Because sometimes you have to take on 100%. And sometimes you have to become 0. You can't just have even 1%. Because, 1% we home hai. There's still ego within that 1%. There will be times when you have to carry everything, and there will be times when you have to submit and bow down to each other, just like you bow down to Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj today. This bairag, But not virag in fear, not virag, not detachment where you're scared and you're stepping away, you're hiding into a shell. Pyareo, this nirmal pao paya. You'll hear this nirmal pao. There's a difference between immaculate fear, loving fear, and what you fear for death. What you fear for somebody that's coming after your life. Not that type of fear. This is a fear that a child loves their father so much that there's loving respect and nirmal pao. Because only if there's fear, there is respect and there is maryada, that you stay within a code of conduct. If there's no fear of God, if there's no fear for each other, there is no respect for each other. This relationship is built on trust, and that trust is found through detachment of the vices of this world, losing the ego and connecting to that great creator. And then you go to the fourth stage, Pyareo. My beloved brothers and sisters, this is where union exists. This is where bliss is experienced. You're not two entities anymore. You've become one. But this is not just we're talking about, oh, we have great personalities that align. This is not that we have the same interests. No, that was before the first Laam even began, because you needed to know that to set the foundation. But this is when, even when you rise above your body, your surtiyan, your khyal, your words, they become one with Gurbani. You become Satgur ki Bani, Sat Swarup hai, Gurbani bani hai. You become the form of Gurbani in this way. So that is why you will see this ceremony today. You will hear it in Kirtan. And throughout each of these laws, there is an emphasis on Naam. There's an emphasis on Simran. Because you cannot lay the foundation without God's name. You cannot find the Guru and lose your home without God's name. You cannot be detached from this world without resonating and vibrating that love of God's name. And there will be no union with the Nami if there is no Naam. Because you become the form and the experience. You vibrate, lose that home, and you melt into this love. This is what we call love when you don't exist anymore. Prem equals pare main. Jithe main nahi hai, utte tu hi. There is just you left. This world might call love in many, many different ways. We don't know about that here. Here we only know one word. Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru. So pyareo, aise tuni de naal, we're going to implement it in our hearts. Let's listen to these Lama. Let's experience this Anand Karaj. It doesn't matter what the world thinks or says. Because here, all of us were revolving around Guru Sahib Ji. These Lama are your experience to a spiritual awakening. And this entire life that we live, this is a small representation of the marriage that we seek with the great Creator. We are all soul brides. We're all laying out our bed open within our heart so the Creator comes and resides within in our home. So let's have darshan of Guru Sahib Ji. Let's listen to the Kirtan with pure bliss, and let's enjoy this ceremony of all of us connecting and vibrating in God's name together. So aao pyareo, Anand Karaj aapa arambh kariye, bhulan chikan di khema ji.